It is time for your WIN podcast for super busy professionals sharing transformational moments. Your host, Chu Tang.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to your WIN podcast. Today I have my special guest with me, Amy. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, thank you, Chu. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So Amy is on Big Island of Hawaii. I always make it very special because I love Big Island.
Me too. That's why I live here. I never
Oh,
thought I would have the chance, but so something happened, a miracle, and then I found myself living here on the Big Island. It was a dream of mine.
okay. So share with us that transformational moment that changed your life forever. 'Cause-
Absolutely. So you don't forget the day that changes your life forever. Back in back on Monday, February 10th, 2003, I was at that time traveling in California.
Mm.
It was one of the things that I was doing. I was learning, and I was learning a type of shamanic healing practice,
Oh.
and I was learning it from this woman, and she had a very unconventional style of teaching.
Mm.
She just throws you into the wolves without actually teaching you anything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so on that specific day, the reason why I was in California was because she called me up on the phone several days before, and she said, "Hey, Amy, I need someone to do this technique and to perform this shift on these
Mm.
in this workshop I have in Oakland." And I
Oh,
said,
in
"Okay,
Oakland.
so I
Okay.
have no one who is available, so I need you to do that. Can you come?" And I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh, I need to be invited, right?"
Okay.
So I bought a ticket, booked my flights, booked my hotel, and I was in California, and it was
So
a
where were
Monday.
you? Where were you?
Washington, D.C., that's where I live.
Oh, okay, okay.
and and so that's where I went. And then lo and behold, the workshop happened. The person who said they were not going to show up, they showed up. And I only ended up with two clients for that day to perform this healing technique. And I was like so despondent because it's not cheap to fly last minute across Washington, D.C. to
Right,
California. I had to pay for my hotel and all of that. And with the two shifts from these two clients, it's not going to pay for my air ticket, let alone the hotel and everything else.
right,
And
right,
so,
right,
and
right.
at that time, I was just laid off from my job. And so I had been learning
Mm,
this technique because I found it very interesting and I
mm,
seemed to have an affinity for it. And I said, oh, maybe I'm able to transition out of a different career and find a more successful side hustle to do this, right?
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And nope. And this was not my first disappointment. It had happened again and again like a predictable pattern.
Mhm.
And what happened was I it was what 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. I was having a cup of coffee in this cafe downtown Oakland. Not very safe, you can tell, right? You
No,
can hear
no, no,
pow
no.
pow somewhere
Yeah,
else,
yeah, yeah. I
not
know
too far
Oakland. Yeah.
away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I said, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" So I was very despondent. I was very depressed. You could say I was depressed, but I'm not because I this woman, the reason why I was studying with her was
Mm-hmm.
because she had cured me of bipolar disorder in just one move.
Oh my
That was
God.
it. Changed my life. Yeah. It was the most profound experience I had gone through.
Wow.
And because of that, I was devoted to this technique
Um,
because if it can change someone with bipolar disorder in just one maneuver, then what else can it do?
oh
And
my
so
God.
that's why I was so devoted to the technique.
Yeah, yeah,
And you could say my life from childhood until now, okay,
yeah.
has been an accumulation of multiple disappointments. We call that baggage, right? Emotional.
Um,
I had
mm,
tons of it, right?
mm,
From my childhood all the way through adulthood and through a lot of setbacks I've experienced.
mm.
And so this was like the what would you call that? Uh, the the straw that broke the camel's back.
It's back, right? Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I felt myself being I thought it was cured of depression, and I knew I was very sad, or should I say disappointed, because there was no emotional element in it. I mean, there was some emotional element in it, but in that moment, I felt the straw literally landed on the camel and it broke its back, and I felt myself collapse But then
Oh,
at the same time, I felt something inside of me collapse. And at the same time, when in the moment when that happened,
yeah.
I felt something else rise all around me and inside me. I mean, this awareness rose, and it rose to the point where it pushed thought. I never knew this was possible. It pushed thinking beyond the experience of this physical body.
Oh,
And then I started weeping. I don't call it crying, it's weeping, because it
mm-hmm.
was highly intense. It was so intense
Mm.
that your entire body can't hold the experience.
Oh my God.
And in that moment, some part of me knew this was the moment I had been waiting for my entire life. And I was in my 40s at that time.
Oh,
I was like, oh
wow.
my God, okay. And so I started bawling because I knew that whatever I was looking for this moment, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how much I did not know what it meant,
Mm-hmm.
this moment was what I had been waiting for my entire life. Because one of the inherent identities, if you want to put it, or beliefs that I had was I'm alone.
Oh.
That there's no one, there's just me, and then there's the rest of the world and everybody else. I
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how much I was seeking, of all the relationships I was seeking, all the bonding I was seeking my entire life,
Mm-hmm.
none of it seemed deep enough. And yet in this moment, I found the thing
Mm-hmm.
that shows me, even in all the spiritual seeking that I'd been doing since I was 5 years old, I knew in this moment what they had been talking about. I was experiencing in that moment that I'm not alone. I have never been alone, and I will never be alone again.
Oh,
And that presence, right, just filled me up and showed, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's not just everywhere, it's in everything. And so you experience non-separation. That's what they're talking. We are one. We talk about that word, we are one, but
yeah.
we don't really feel. We trust or we have faith, and we hear
Yeah.
people say that and we trust their beliefs. But in that moment, I actually experienced that. I experienced that same awareness and presence, intelligence, whatever you call it. We
Yeah.
have no words to express it because it's a different dimension, if you want to put it that way, a different
Yeah.
dimension of experience that's in this room, in every single thing. And
Mm.
it was everywhere. And so at that moment, even though I was not thinking, I was looking around the room and I was saying, am I the only one experiencing this? Oh my
So
God,
there
this thing
were
is there.
so there were four people in the room, including yourself?
There were there were at least 4 or 5 of us because I was in a coffee shop, right? And so there was
Right.
at least two waitresses, several cooks, and several customers. So there were no more than 10 of us in that room, but I was the only person who felt this awareness. And it's like an ocean, right? Endless.
Oh my God.
And I felt this awareness inside of me. And I was looking around, am I the only person feeling this?
Mm.
Yep.
Oh. So how many
And so,
hours after that you met this teacher again?
she had left. So several months later.
Or 7 months
No,
later?
actually, no. Actually, I was wrong. No, that that day, that day actually marked the end of our relationship as teacher and apprentice, because
Okay.
in that moment, all everything stopped. And by that I mean inside of me, inside most human beings for that matter. Okay,
Yeah.
we have something called impulse, impetus, desires, wants, whatever, something that drives you to do something, to go seeking for something, whether it's seeking
Okay.
money,
Okay.
seeking relationships, whatever. In that moment, all desire inside of me stopped, all of it.
Okay.
It was absolute silence,
Mm.
uh, inner silence and stillness. And by silence, I don't mean noise. Silence, it's like an inner, like nothing,
Yeah. Yeah.
no wanting, no desire, nothing, and all of that ended. And so that, in that way, ended the relationship, because I, who I was
Mm.
in that time and space, no longer existed because something else was occupying the shell.
Mm.
And so, and because it's occupying you and it's everywhere, then and because you're not thinking, so you don't have the ability to doubt or listen or question. It's all gone, literally.
Okay.
And so this thing is living your life for you,
So
living this
how long did it last?
15 years.
15 years. Wow.
15 years, 15 years. And for 15 years, this life was going to job interviews, was going
Oh,
to um meeting people, and but essentially it was very, very still. So no desire, no joy, no hate, no nothing, none of that. There are no
are you feeling
emotions
that now?
whatsoever.
Are you
During
feeling that
during
now?
that entire Oh yeah, I have, believe it or not, there are some elements of who I was as a human being, as a no subjective human being that still
Yeah.
exists, the one who's talking to you.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
at that time, no. So I was only speaking when necessary. going going to work, and when I was at work, I don't know if I had coworkers speaking to me, that is speaking
Yeah.
body, all of that, it did all of that. It passed all my job interviews, got me all my promotions. It did all of that.
So
It wasn't scary, actually, believe it or not. It's not,
did
because
anyone
in the
notice?
process, no, everybody thought I was weird, okay, or different,
Oh,
but
oh,
no one who knows me noticed. It shows you that, when starting with that woman was a very eye-opening experience, because you
yeah.
see, her technique was born out of her own version of what happened to me.
Oh, so,
I
oh,
had no idea at that time, because she was someone who was in corporate America, if you can put it that way. She was a
yeah.
sales manager for um, pet food, and as halfway through her pretty successful career, financially successful career, she had a cancer diagnosis, and
Oh,
because
okay.
and a terminal one. And
Yeah.
so she decided that, you know what, I'm going to die, so I'm just going to pack up my things, sell
Yeah.
everything, or whatever
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't pay off. I'm just going to let the banks take it back. And then um a f- she went into nature and decided that she was just going to rent a cabin and die in that
Oh,
cabin. And as part of the death process, and she was watching how a human being's reality essentially is put together by their mind, how your mind assembles your reality. And then she physically died,
yeah.
and then she woke up. And when
Wow.
she woke up, a different a different type of human being was born, because that is what happens during a mental during what they call egoic death process. She realized in that process that the mind makes up disease and illness, essentially.
I heard
That
that.
if you are able to um, either dissolve that element in a human
Yeah.
being, then you're essentially able to cure everything. And one of the things that was birthed out of her death process was
Yeah.
the ability to heal someone using that shamanic technique that was born
And
out of her death process, death and awakening. And so she was
wow.
that kind of a teacher. And so I knew in that moment, when I experienced this, I call it physical union with
Yeah.
this awareness,
Yeah.
that I'm experiencing my version of
Uh-huh.
what she went through. But at
So are
that
you?
time, of course, I didn't know that, because that
Oh,
awareness is not interested. It is not interested in anything experienced but experiencing this reality through this skin and form.
oh,
And so I was not question. I was just living in the moment. Literally, this is what they're talking about, living the present moment. Except when you're reading books about living in the present moment, you're training the mechanism that lives in here, you know,
right.
to learn something that is actually an experience. And
Yeah.
it's not like being in school. You can't learn this. You just either be it, or you're learning to be it. But
Right.
the problem with learning to be it is that it's you're copying something that you don't understand or don't know, and so you're
Right.
imitating.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are in this state, there is no learning. You know things without ever encountering them. And that
Oh,
was the amazing part of the 15 years that was in this process, in this
yeah.
experience, because I was doing things that I had never learned. I had no experience learning. I wasn't reading, I wasn't doing anything. I was just experiencing that moment. And so in that moment, I just did whatever came to me
Mm.
in every aspect of my life. Yeah.
So are you teaching people this healing technique?
No,
No.
no,
Is
because
it?
because the reason I wanted to at some point in time, I
Yeah.
wanted to, but the funny thing is, you can't exactly teach this healing technique, because it relies, a big chunk of it relies on a person's individual awareness
Mm.
of something that is beyond time and space and skin and bones. So
Mm.
you actually have to teach what essentially is more important is to teach them to dissolve this mechanism so that they have access. This is an ability that we all inherently have if we can take the
Oh.
thinking mechanism in our brain, in our
So
minds.
are you going to write a book about it, or you already did?
I actually wrote a book about my experience called
Oh,
Conscious Union, The End of All
oh,
Seeking. And it was on Amazon, but Amazon was giving it away for free. So I said, forget it. I'm going to take it off Amazon.
oh, okay, okay,
But I will republish it under Google in Google.
okay,
And you might be able to find it in Google Play. I'm re-editing because I'm trying to fix the cover. I didn't like the cover. I'm going to edit
oh,
the
okay,
cover and then
okay,
I'm going to republish it and I'll give you that information. Um,
okay, okay. I'll
that's
now
when it's
put,
ready. I'll
yeah.
send you the book.
No, it's okay. And then I'll buy the book from you, and then we're
Thank
gonna
you.
put the link when you have that ready. I'm gonna update the description of this podcast. And yeah, oh my
Yeah,
God, I don't know what to say.
I know. I had nothing to say, and that was the hardest part about this experience because I was in a state of complete silence for about 15 years. So interacting with me was not exactly a comfortable experience for a lot of people, because I hardly spoke. I don't know how I passed job interviews, how I had a job in corporate America for three different companies during that time because the person who was doing the talking during the job interviews, interacting with coworkers, all of it was not me. I have no conscious memory of that experience because this presence is living through me and it still is living through me. It's just that my subjective self is coming back because one of the things that happens is that because I feel no separation between myself and other people, that's one of the reasons why I'm living on a big island. If
Mm.
I was near someone who's sick, I am them, no separation. I became sick.
Oh.
So it was that difficult,
Mm.
physically,
Mm.
physiologically, it was difficult for me. Like when I came here to the Big Island to visit back in 2008,
Mm.
after this experience happened,
Mm.
I was checking out different pieces of property to buy because I knew I wanted to be in a forest. That had been my dream since
Mm.
forever.
Mm.
And I was going to follow whatever feedback the environment was giving me. And so when I was checking this land out over here, I was standing near a huge ohia tree. It's an endemic native Hawaiian tree that you can
Mm.
find anywhere else in the world. I was standing in this tree, and suddenly the tree was me and I was the tree. I mean, I experienced no separation anyway, but suddenly
Mm.
I experienced myself as the tree. Okay.
Mm.
And the tree was experiencing itself as me, and the two of us were kind of like, okay,
Okay,
this is interesting.
okay.
And so got this place.
Wow, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And
Thank you
so
so
that's
much
why I
for
came here. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
It's
Yeah. It's life changing.
Yeah, because James told me that I need to interview you for the podcast because you have a very different transformational story that anyone can think of.
Yeah. It's a big deal because I would say that it is the most profound thing I suspect that can happen to a human being. And for a
Mm.
lot of us, it happens later on in life or at around death. It happens,
Mm.
where you experience the unity and you experience that the fact that you were never really you. And it was
Mm.
that awareness that has basically filtered out, all
Mm.
sense of being one to the point where you become just one, and
Mm.
then you are reunited with them again. It's like
Mm.
for me it was like being united with a long lost lover, like. And
Oh.
but I had known that since I was a child. I had known since childhood that something in my life was missing, that I was disconnected from something that was profoundly
Mm.
important to me, that made me feel connected.
Mm.
And when I had my physical union with that
Mm.
awareness again, there
Mm.
was that this is it. This is what I was missing this entire time. And so,
Mm.
it was years and years and years of weeping because I said, no, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. Everything else is a bonus. This is it. Okay. This is
Wow.
all I want and need. Yeah.
I have my brief moment. Okay, so because I'm trained in math and science, so I didn't believe there's a spirit and a body, right? And then when my grandma was in a coma, I think for 10 days, and she was dying of breast cancer. And that moment when I witnessed her last breath, I was very fortunate to witness it because we had a big family coming in and out of the hospital, and because I'm her most favorite, granddaughter, and somehow she chose that I'm the one who witnessed it. So the moment that was her last breath, it's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I didn't physically see anything, but the body on the hospital bed was not my grandma anymore.
Exactly. And
And
so
I was
then you
like,
realize,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. In that moment, you knew that whatever was inside the body was the thing that you were interacting with your entire life.
yeah. And I was
Yeah,
like, this is so weird.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's no longer my grandma. I was like, yeah. But that from that moment on, I truly believe that there's a spirit in the body.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we've done a lot of movies, and so I have for a long time while I was with that while I was, while that presence was occupying my body full time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 100% of the body, um, because that experience is so present moment oriented, okay, that you remember absolutely everything in that moment. And then it's only
Wow.
when your personality, your subjective self, starts
Mhm.
returning that you actually have something called memory loss.
Oh my God.
It's the most interesting thing. You remember every single detail of every single moment because 100% of your attention is all focused in that 1 second, a moment that you are engaged in from moment to moment to moment.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
once your subjective self comes back and you have, oh God, I'm going to be late for blah, 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 blah. Okay, once thinking resumes, forget about it. Your memory goes. Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this. Yeah.
You're
So if
welcome.
you guys like this episode, come back, and until then, stay happy and hopeful. Thank you,
Thank you for
Amy.
having me.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share. See you soon at Your Win Podcast.